mid-August 2018, Christopher Watts admitted to killing his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, along with their two daughters, Celeste and Bella, which ended up being one of the most heavily reviewed and covered cases in our decade. Hey everyone, thank you guys so much for all the support. Thank you so much for watching everything and commenting and liking all our videos. We really enjoy it. We need you to subscribe. If you're watching it right now, we need you to subscribe. We have a lot of people that watch our videos but are not subscribed to us. And currently we are—
so you can get notification when we post a new one.
Currently going for a goal of 500 subscribers. So once we hit that goal, we will move on to a new one, but we need your help. We cannot get to 500 without you. So please, if you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell.
Hey everybody, say hi. Say hi. You don't want to say hi? Christopher and Shanann Watts were both natives of North Carolina, and they met in 2010 and were later married November 3rd of 2012. They went on to have two daughters, Bella, who was
She was four.
Yeah, she was 4 when she was murdered, and Cece, who was 3 at that time. The family later moved to Frederick, Colorado, and lived in a 5-bedroom, humongous house that was very, very neat and organized. Shanann was very, very anal retentive about that, kind of like I am. But,
exactly like she is.
The house was beautiful, and they spent a lot of money. I heard their credit cards were maxed out. They did end up filing bankruptcy in 2015, so that—
And they only purchased the house in 2013.
So it's like 2 short years. And I know they were on the uphill swing, trying to repair their credit and get things back in line.
So Chris and Shanann both worked. Shanann was actually an individual that represented a multi-level marketing company, a MLM, a pyramid scheme, however you want to call it. And she worked for the company Lavelle, and she sold the product Thrive, which I know a lot of people are pretty familiar with.
And you can see it. I mean, it's all over her Facebook. I mean, she's got Thrive patches on. You know, I've never tried it, so I can't say pros or cons, but it's supposed to be like helping you lose weight, increase your metabolism.
I know a lot of people who do it. They seem pretty happy, and some of them are successful. Now, where Shanann was at, she was at a lot higher tier, and a lot of people do not make it to that. So she was doing very good with it.
And she went on a lot of business trips. Shanann was also fortunate enough to get a company vehicle. She drove a Lexus.
And I think that they were actually like allowed a certain amount, like towards a car payment. Like it was almost like a bonus they got. And so I'm not sure if like it was assigned to her to that car, but they also, like Ashley was saying, they went on some trips and paid vacations. I guess they win these different bonuses through the company. Now Chris got a good job when they moved out there, and he worked, I don't know if he was like what exactly he did, but he worked with—
He was a surveyor.
Okay, so a surveyor, yeah. But he worked for Anadarko Petroleum, which, you know, does oil and different things like that, which out west is, you know, a huge
marketing company.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. It's a big trade out there, I would try to say, if I can get my words out. So they both did pretty well. They seemed pretty happy as far as everything goes. Like I said, they did trips with the family. They visited.
But I think a lot of there's a lot of perception on the Facebook. Although her and Chris were having problems, it looked like, you know, they had the all-American family, and they were always happy, and they were always celebrating something, and something was always perfect. And, you know, I don't think that Shanann really showed her true side, but you know what? She was selling the American dream with her product.
And she was selling health and wellness products. So you want energy, you want to be peppy, you want to feel good, right? But just as Ashley was saying, you know, we all know people that are pretty egotistical, and you know they want to look good for appearances. So she was pretty constant, and you can see there's tons of videos of her. Right. She's all like anything we saw, everything was being videotaped. Their entire lives were on camera.
You know what? Personally, I think that would draw away from a relationship. I know that when we have time together, we put our phones away. You know, we spend time with our daughter. And I know that they were all spending time together, but Harrison made a comment like, they don't live in the moment. It's more like, do this for the camera, smile for the camera, be happy for the camera. And I feel like they kind of got away from the true meaning of family.
And not saying that this was the wedge driven between them, but I think that in what was going on for Chris and maybe his mental state, it probably didn't help, probably made things worse. But again, it's nothing to blame for what was done. Like,
right. And he grew up in a kind of difficult family. He was always known as the black sheep. His sister was absolutely gorgeous, and she just did a lot of things at a young age. If you see some interviews, Cindy, his mother, is very vague with her descriptions of him. She's like, oh, he plays sports. Like,
it's almost like she doesn't know or doesn't care what he did.
Right.
And it wasn't important.
It was very surface level. We watched a thing about like how growing up in a family like that will shape you. And I just want to preface, by no means are we saying that Christopher Watts was okay in doing what he did.
We think he's a terrible human being. We think that he deserves to die. I mean, honestly.
Right. For what he did.
Getting into some of these details of the story, literally, it made me, when we were researching or watching videos or listening, I mean, both of us had times where we just had to pause and like take a moment, because
I couldn't imagine.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing some of the things he did. But I mean, that may have come from a man who was starved for affection. I mean, it's just it can go both ways. And we are trying to do this as, you know, non-biased as we can, and trying to see from both sides. You know, you guys can give us some feedback and tell us what you think. But, you know, all accounts appear that they had this great family. And you know what, they probably did. But, you know, there started to be trouble in the marriage when Christopher met a coworker named Nicole Kessinger. And he said, you know, this is after the fact, he's interviewed, that it was like love at first sight. He was like shocked by her beauty and absolutely enamored by her.
And I think there's another point, and I forget what she had, but Shanann had a medical issue.
She had lupus.
So she has an autoimmune deficiency or a disease, right? And so she was constantly sick and constantly in pain, and there's different things. And so a lot of people kind of question whether that was real.
A stressor on him as well. And and she was very routine. She liked everything in its place. And his mother did not really get along with Shanann very well. She actually didn't, her and her husband did not even go to their wedding. Which was kind of shitty, I think. But
maybe if you're mad at your or whatever,
yeah, you still
go to your kid's
wedding and support them. So Shanann was very, very high strung, and Cindy said whenever she would ask Chris to do something, Cindy said he was there at the drop of a hat. That he kind of waited on her hand and foot, and this is Cindy's recollection of the event. So I don't know how true they are. I wasn't in their life, but I mean, this is just things that we have heard.
And I think it's also interesting, you know, all these remarks we get from Cindy being Chris's mother and having that supposed to be nurturing effect. We don't hear like anything from his father, like nothing. Like, he doesn't have an opinion, doesn't have anything going on. And kind of circling back to what Ashley said about him meeting this coworker, Nicole Kessinger.
That's when their marriage kind of started to decline.
She was active. She did sports. She liked to go out and do things, which Chris liked to do. You know, we'll put up some pictures. Chris was, when they first got married, he was, you know, overweight, kind of heavy, and he got in real good shape and got pretty fit. And I think that it turned out to be something that he could control, and he was attracted to that as well.
Right. So that's when their marriage started kind of, you know, not going well. So Shanann, excuse me, I keep saying Shanann. Shanann booked a trip to go visit her parents, celebrate a birthday up in North Carolina. She was going to stay for 5 weeks, and Chris was going to come the last week of July and spend that last week with them. So the entire time Shanann's on this trip, Chris is kind of distant. You know, she's thinking, I need to go away. You know, maybe he'll recognize and realize what he lost when we're not here. And I mean, I know that, you know, when he's at work, I miss him, and then he would tell him, I'm like, okay, get away. you know? So, I mean, she thought by leaving, I think this will make him realize how much he loves us. And he really didn't reciprocate how she thought. Because,
he took it like a, what's
The
that?
Bachelor.
What's that movie called? Hall Pass?
Oh,
that's kind of how he took it. I mean, he's like, I don't have a family. I don't have responsibilities. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want.
He's literally staying every night with Nicole Kessinger. And he, to her defense, he didn't really tell her the truth either. He said, hey, listen, I'm getting a divorce. He didn't bring the fact that she was pregnant, 15 weeks pregnant. But he says, I'm getting a divorce. I'm selling the house. Come look for apartments with me. Hey, let's go to the sand dunes. Let's go to concerts. And they were very active. They didn't have the stress of a family to worry about, like he did with Shanann. And I think that was his demise. He saw a different side of Chris and he liked it.
But also, we'll talk about it some more. It originally, like on surface level, it appears that Nicole Kessinger didn't know everything going on, but there's some interesting things we'll talk about a little bit later that there might be more behind that than what she originally led on.
So Shanann and the kids are up in North Carolina, having a good time, visiting with family. And like we said, Chris is just living this bachelor lifestyle, hanging out with Nicole the whole time.
And so while being in North Carolina, since both of their families are from North Carolina, Chris's parents are also there as well. Now, part of the trip Shanann had planned out was to go over to their house and let them visit the grandkids, since it's been a while since they've seen them. I don't remember which one, if it's Cece or Bella, but one of them has a couple different food allergies, one being like nuts and different tree nuts and things like that.
Well, Shanann was very, very controlling about what those girls put in their body. And I get that. I understand that. But, you got to let loose sometimes and just allow kids to be kids.
Right. So, like, we looked to see if we could find documentation whether or not they really did
have a true
food allergies or not. And we couldn't find anything. Now, obviously, I don't know if that kind of information would be available to the public. But regardless, a lot of people think it's just kind of being a little bit overprotective. So, anyways, they go over to the grandparents' house, Chris's parents' house, and Cindy, his mother, feeds the girls ice cream. And apparently the ice cream had walnuts in it, or something in
it that Cece was not allowed to
have. And so Shanann freaks out, flips on her, starts yelling at her, "You're trying to kill my kids." And I mean, she's going through this whole mess. And I mean, to me, the grandparents don't see the kids that often.
And Cindy said she didn't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they don't know, they're not told, they're not around them all the time.
Right.
That's a very easy misunderstanding. And if you're not specific and clear with people up front, like, hey, we haven't seen you in a couple of years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're going to feed my child anything, there are some things you need to know. So ends up they get in a big fight. Cindy kicks Shanann out of the house. They don't talk.
And Shanann is complaining back to Chris.
Yeah,
and
right to him.
Some things that we've uncovered is that Chris kind of communicated with his friends and family differently with Shanann. Like, he complained about her, kind of had her in a bad light. So this is why friends didn't really approve of Shanann.
Yeah, his friends had bad things about her, but her friends always had good things about him.
Yeah, Shanann has always said, he's the best thing that ever happened to me. They just had this perfect marriage that obviously wasn't as perfect as she was letting on.
And I think that goes a lot back into what we're talking about the image perceived by people, the egotistic.
Right.
Her friends think that about him because she wants her friends to think everything is great in her life.
Right.
Now, for him, if he's being over-controlled or pushed over by this ominous presence of always trying to be perfect for the camera, he may not be able to properly talk or express his emotions to his wife for fear of rejection or whatever it may be. Right. So his outlet is to his friends and his family. So that's where the negative comments are going to come from. And it happens a lot in a lot of relationships and a lot of the time if people don't feel comfortable talking with their partner.
Mm-hmm. And so communication is a very big thing. Like, I stress that with us.
And it's huge in this case.
It really is. It's very huge in this case. So Shanann and kids are up in North Carolina. Chris comes the last weekend of July, and they all fly back together. So that next week, Shanann and Chris are still having issues. Chris probably misses this Nicole Kessinger, and he's not being physical with Shanann. And Shanann's outlet is to complain to her friends. So we saw a lot of text messages like, I haven't been touched. He doesn't love me. He hasn't rubbed my belly once. Just all these, woe is me, basically.
Yeah, when he first arrived, like they went out, I think they went to the beach, they did a family event, and she started, she's videotaping the whole thing, of course, because everything has to be on camera. And there's text messages to a friend saying, he's been here and he's only kissed me once. And again, this is no defense for Chris, because again, Chris Watts deserves to die. He's a 100% terrible human being for what he did, because regardless of the situation, no one deserves to be put through what he put his family through. But there's a lot of other things that go into play with this. And I think someone said it really well. A murder doesn't happen, murdering someone doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's a buildup of time.
Right.
So there was accumulation of things that caused him to
burst. Okay, so Shanann had a business trip the following week in Arizona for her Thrive company. So she comes home on the early morning hours of August 13th. I think it said like 1:48 in the morning. And I guess Chris was sleeping at this time, but she did send a text to him saying, wake me up before you leave. Later on that day, Shanann and the girls were notified the authorities that they were missing. Shanann had an OB appointment around 9:30 that morning, and the same friend that dropped her off was supposed to actually drive her. So, she didn't hear from her, and nobody saw Shanann's car leave. So around noon, that friend tries to bang on the door. Nobody's answering, and the cops are called, and it was kind of cool. One of the videos we watched was like a body cam of the officer that came and searched around, and there was no sign of foul play or anything, so the officer could not enter the home, but he searched all around the house, asked the neighbors, have you seen anything?
Looked inside. And
nobody had seen her vehicle leave that day. So at that point, they notified Chris, who was at work.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. So what's going on?
So my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
Right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well. And she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9. And I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls. And she was very distraught over the weekend, wasn't eating normally or drinking, and we kept trying to force it on her because she's pregnant. Her husband and her supposedly are separating, but she didn't know this. She thought they were just having issues. He disclosed that to me today. Because I called him and I was like, have you talked or heard from Shanann since she left for work this morning? Because I can't get a hold of her. I called, I texted. Her car's in the garage. Her shoes she wears every single day right in the front door.
She only has one vehicle?
No, they only have the one vehicle in his work truck.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. There's not
the girls and went on a play date, but they're 4 and 2. She went on a play date. Why wouldn't she take in a car? They're both in car seats.
Shanann, are you home? Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known. Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known.
Is there a key code, Sandy, to open the garage from the outside? What is it? His mom's gonna get it.
Okay. Hey, Chris, Officer Coonrod for the police department.
Just acting like nothing's wrong. And he comes home. He parks his car. He runs up to the garage, unlocks the garage, unlocks her car, looks in the car. And he's seemingly frantic at this time, like, oh my God, my wife's missing.
A camera system? Mm-hmm.
I'm here. Yeah, keep me on the phone. Okay, get Matt.
Scott, how you doing?
How's it going?
So this is the only vehicle she would have?
Only one that, yeah.
She would drive? Okay. We're checking the house for consent.
Down your phone.
Oh. Well, shit. Any friends that you know she would be hanging out with?
I mean,
I know, I guess her
Amanda.
Her parents are out of state?
Across country, North Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's not happening. She can play. All the girls' blankies are gone. Their blankies they sleep with, they don't leave anywhere without them.
Okay. Nothing else appears to be missing though, just stuff you'd take for a quick trip?
You got cool rings, Her phone.
Her phone's here?
Yeah. Okay.
Her phone's here.
Does she work?
Yeah, she works from home.
Oh, from home?
She works, this is her lifeline.
You guys having any kind of issues, marital issues, or?
We're going through separation.
You are? Did you guys file it yet or anything, or just talking about
No, we're gonna sell the house and do a separation.
it? How's that going?
It's going
Civil for the most
civil.
part, or? There was no note or anything by the wedding ring?
No.
It didn't look like she went through and packed up
No, I mean,
a bag or anything?
This and all that in the bottom, so it'd be kind of hard to tell if she took a little bit, or, I mean, it'd be easy to tell if she took a lot, but it's hard to tell if she took a little bit or not.
Okay. Did she tell you anything about leaving, moving out?
Not moving out. I mean, the last time I talked to her was this morning. She said she's going to take the kids to a friend's house, and then she asked where she was going to be. And then I've texted her today and never heard anything. But cars here.
Right.
Are here. Unless somebody came and picked her up. But the people that I know, nobody's heard from her, nobody's seen her.
Right. Definitely an odd one.
Yeah. I don't know what I can do right now. Should I drive around like the normal route that she would be?
Where does she normally go to?
I mean, just like drive where like she would normally take the kids to school. People that I know that live down, people that live, Kristen lives down that way. I mean, that's the only routes I can know she really take.
She go to their house frequently, or?
And not much, but.
Yeah.
Just wait for her here.
Up here.
Well, I've got my detective coming, just because this is kind of an odd situation. See if we can try to get her pinpointed down, find a friend or something.
Okay.
He may have you call the bank.
Okay. Hey, Sarah, it's Chris Watts. Not too bad. Have you heard from Shanann today?
So the officer goes through the house. He's like, oh my God, her phone's here. This is her lifeline. So they're not finding anything in the home. There's no sign that she's gone, but the girl's blankets are missing. And they would not leave this house without them. So, God.
And, well, because he starts this whole like idea. At this point, he starts planting this little seed that, oh, we were having issues. We were separating. And then he goes into the bedroom. He's like, I found her ring. Do you think she'd just take the kids and leave? But she also left her medications.
Right. And those were daily medications that she could not live without.
All the kids' items were there. Like, if she was to get up and leave, she would take the needed essentials.
Right. And, you know, Chris kind of was like, oh, you know, I think I remember her saying she was going to be going on a play date. And Shanann, like we've said, is very regimented. She has stuff planned out. She just doesn't, on a whim, go hang out with the kids and not tell anybody.
Yeah, she's 15 weeks pregnant. She had an appointment to go get her baby checked. She's not going to miss that.
She broadcasts her entire life. So I think if she were at a friend's house, it would be some awesome event that she was doing, and it would be on Facebook.
And she'd have her phone.
And she'd have her phone. So she did work from her phone. So like Chris said, it was her lifeline. So her leaving that behind was kind of ominous, and it was shut off.
Nothing on there.
What's that?
Nothing on there.
You just have
My camera.
the truck up to the car.
Lay down.
Loaded my stuff up in my coolers, my water jugs, my book bag, my computers, some of the tools that I had from the toolbox. I knew I was going to have to do some pumping unit rubbers today. That's why I was out so far.
Is this on continually recording?
Yep. Well,
It's not, is it motion or is it,
event,
okay, so it's motion.
any motion event that happens, but I get cars driving from this street, and this is him at 517.
My detective just showed up, so he'll probably want to talk to you. He'd probably, like I said, he might have you call at the bank and see if there's any kind of activity.
Because if there was any sort of action out there,
His camera's
I would have got it.
like
Right.
we had issues the other week when people were stealing stuff out of like garages and stuff like that, and I had parked my truck
I had
right here.
to park right here.
Yeah, so someone
See if
I could
anything
see where someone tried to jim me with a flathead screwdriver over there, and it was just like.
But if any action would have happened, any cars or anything left your house, I would
If it
have
would
got it.
have been like right in that area, it should have picked. I mean,
Oh, it'll pick up anything coming down the street this way.
you know where that tree there too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Hopefully something comes up here.
Mind if you just want to go talk to him? I'm going to get his info real quick. No.
So it's August 13th and the girls are missing. Nobody can get a hold of them. Obviously, she doesn't have her phone. So, and her car's in the garage. So if they went on this play date, someone had to drive her. So Chris is, you know, distraught husband. Where's my family? He goes on all these news broadcasts.
Shanann Watts and her two daughters, 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella, vanished on Monday. Their startling disappearance triggering a statewide alert as police and the FBI focus on her home outside Denver, where she was last seen.
When I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like, she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. I have no idea like where they went.
Chris Watts, Shanann's husband, says his wife, who's also 15 weeks pregnant, came home from a business trip at 2 a.m. Monday. The couple having an emotional conversation, he says, before he left home around 5 a.m. Watts says Shanann never returned text messages later that morning and never answered the door when her friend arrived at the home at noon. Watts says he knew something was wrong.
I was trying to get home as fast as I can. I was blowing through stoplights. I was blowing through everything, just trying to get home as fast as I can because none of this made sense.
Police who have searched the family home and area with dogs say for now there are no significant leads. The 34-year-old doting mother's car still in the garage.
She left her phone at home, her purse, her wallet, all of her money, her ID.
And, you know, people say after watching them that he was not appearing normal. And when I watched him, I don't know his normal mannerisms, so I didn't think anything of them, but they said he was kind of like rocking, holding himself, just like Hughes that would say he was guilty. So he's looking for his family. And all the authorities are looking for their family, and they can't find anybody. So on the early morning hours of August 15th, Chris is brought into the police station where he is questioned. And there is a lie detector that's up. It's a nice lengthy video, but it was actually really funny to watch because the lie detector person said she had him wigged out.
She trapped him, man. Yeah. Yo, from the beginning, she knew exactly what she was doing. Yeah. From the second she walked in, the first thing out of her mouth, she was setting him up.
Yeah, for sure. And I told him that. I was like, look at this sneaky lady. So she says in the beginning, she asked his name. She said, I need you to lie for me so I can tell on the machine if you're lying or not. So they ask him questions, whatever. The test is concluded.
And she says, wow, you're a bad liar.
Yeah, so already he's like, oh shit.
And she's like, well, I know you wouldn't be coming in here if you did anything with this because you're such a bad liar. I'd be able to tell. And that would just be stupid.
Yeah, so she's like planting this. And you know what? He didn't move a muscle during this. He was sitting straight forward. His breathing didn't increase. He wasn't fidgety. His mouth wasn't moving. And she planted that seed. Hey, I'm a bad liar. Now he's going to try to overcorrect what he thought he was doing wrong. So he failed miserably. And the cops basically said, bro, tell us the story. And then the same girl who did this lie detector test is like rubbing on him. Are you okay?
She's playing this other side of the cop.
Yes.
Thing.
So she's doing this whole trust thing with him.
I use this to measure the rate of blood flow through your body during the test. It was actually found it's much more, we get a much better reading if we put it on your calf instead of your arm, so are you okay? Did you know we use these? Okay.
And I use these?
Right.
What's the mat for?
The what?
The mat I sit on?
Oh, sorry. So that's a motion sensor mat. What that does is obviously detect motion and movement in your body. So that's how important it will be that you remain completely still during the testing. If you move your little toe, I mean, as you know, with lifting weights and stuff, everything happens from your core. You move your little toe, obviously it's going to register on my CPAD. So it's very, very sensitive. So that's how important it's going to be that you remain completely still. So this is what we call a directed lie practice test, okay? And I'm going to move my chair over here. So obviously a directed lie practice test kind of gives you an indication that I probably want you to lie on the practice test, right? I don't want you to lie yet. I will tell you when, at that point that I want you to lie, okay?
Okay.
How many numbers do you see on this piece of paper?
4.
Which one's missing?
3.
I want you to write the number 3 on the line where it's missing, okay?
Okay.
And you can use your right or your left hand. Are you right-handed or
Yeah.
left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay.
I'll just...
That's pretty good. Okay.
Lifetime.
So this is the directed lie practice test. So what that means is I'm going to ask you if you wrote every single number on this piece of paper. Okay?
Okay.
I want you to be truthful to all the numbers, but I want you to lie when I ask you if you wrote the number 3. Because you really did write the number 3, but I want you to say no, that you did not. I want you to lie to me, okay? Okay, so during the testing, I'm going to leave this right here. You need to look in the area of this clipboard. You can't look side to side, up, down, wherever Chris wants to look. You don't have to fixate on the number 3, but you're going to be looking basically in this general area right here, okay? So I will tell you when the test is going to begin, and then I will tell you when the test is going to end. The test is about to begin. Please remain still. Regarding what number you wrote on the piece of paper, did you write the number 1?
No.
Did you write the number 2?
No.
Did you write the number 3?
No.
Did you write the number 4?
No.
Did you write the number 5?
No.
This portion of the test is complete. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation. Okay, you can relax. How'd you feel? You did great. You remembered to lie and everything. That was awesome. So you obviously are a really bad liar. Have people told you that before? Like the second you tell a lie, like they can tell like on your face that, because the second you lied to the number 3, like I don't know if you heard me clicking, but I had to like turn down the sensitivity because you were starting to go off the page. So that is what I need to see as a polygrapher, because that tells me that you know it's wrong to tell a lie. And you're actually having a significant reaction when you lie, so that is awesome. So thank you for being a horrible liar. No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We don't want to be good liars, so thank you for being a horrible liar. Can you let me know when you're ready to begin? During this part of the test, I want you to focus on the back of the chair, okay? Not looking up, down, side to side, anything like that. I want you to do that.
Was I doing that?
Nope, you did great. But obviously the clipboard is gone now, so your area of focus is going to be like in this area, okay?
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Do it.
Okay, stay still. The test is about to begin. Please remain still. Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Is your first name Christopher?
Yes.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Were you born in 1985?
Yes.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
Do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
This portion of the test is complete. Please remain still while I take the instrument out of operation.
So this cop is playing like, oh, you can talk to me. I'm here for you. And she plants this seed of Did Shanann do it?
It was completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test. Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. And I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris,
I know stuff.
it's time.
Just
Stop for a minute. Take a deep breath. I want you to take a deep breath right now.
We're not here to play games. We're not here to do any of that with you. We just want to know what happened. So can you start from the beginning and tell us what happened?
Everything that I've told you, I did not lie on this polygraph. I don't know how much I could tell you right now. Like, I did not.
It's not even an option right now because you did not pass the polygraph. So I know you were being deceptive. So that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. This is where the rubber meets the road, Chris. Like, don't let this continue any longer, please.
I'm not trying to make anything continue. Like, I want them back home, like.
But you know they're not coming back home.
We're confused as to why you're not taking care of your beautiful children.
I'm not taking care of them right now.
Right now. Where are they?
I don't know where they're at. I don't know where they're at.
Chris, right now your dad's outside. He flew across the country to help you. Okay.
We know that something happened to all three of them. But I want to know, did something happen to these baby girls first that you had to take into your own hands and deal with?
You had to clean it up for Shanann.
And you either cleaned up after Shanann or you made the mistake. And I mean, I want to believe that maybe Shanann did it and you felt compelled to fix this so Shanann didn't look bad. That's what I want to believe. But I don't know, you're not telling me that, so it makes me think the worst. Like, did you do that to all three of them?
I did not do anything to these kids. Not do anything.
What did Shanann do to them? Tell us, Chris. Chicks are crazy.
Can I go talk to my dad or something?
Absolutely.
Come.
Do you want to bring him in here?
No, I just can't talk to my dad. Like, he flew across the country.
Hey, Chris.
I can't. How about this?
If we brought your dad in here, would you please tell him what happened?
Can I just go talk to him? I've been in here for like 5 or 6 hours and I'm like...
Absolutely. Before we get him...
Can I go out there and talk to him?
Well, I don't know that you want to do it out there because there's a lot of people going through the halls. Should we bring him in here?
We'll step out.
Well, how about this? If we bring in your dad, will you promise me that you'll talk to him?
I'll talk to him.
Guys, those are things you need to do. Let's see. As long as they've...
Hey, Chris, we're going to let you have however much time you need, okay?
Okay. You leave us in there or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell what's going on with the thing, or...
This polygraph failed it.
Is there any reason why they shouldn't?
They know I had an affair. And they know. I can't complain about that.
Anything else you want to tell me? What's going on, or what happened, or anything? Or you know anything about?
I want to protect her.
What?
I want to protect her.
You don't want to protect her. She hurt him.
Yeah. And
choke her or?
Not just this rage.
So when you're beating all the bodies off or something?
I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I freaked out. I didn't know nothing else to do.
What's that?
Hold on.
You okay? You sure?
And he's like, ding, 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 I'm going to use this.
What a stupid idea.
He was so
like the last thing you want to do is change your story around multiple times. That's like
exactly. So now it goes from I have no idea what happened to my family, bring them back, blah blah blah, to Shanann strangled the babies, and I, in a fit of rage, choked her out. And they're like, okay, all right. Well, that still doesn't make sense because this, and this. So then he finally admits to killing Shanann and the two girls. They got in a fight that morning. She came home from the airport. He said, you know, on TV during this interview that they had an emotional discussion. Well, that emotional discussion resulted in 2 dead children, a pregnant mother dead. So this next part is really, really disgusting. So I just want to warn everybody. I mean, I'm sure we all know this case, but it's pretty gross. So, you know, after killing them, he doesn't call the police. He doesn't ask for help. He's not remorseful. He's like, what am I going to do with these 3 bodies? So that morning of August 13th, he did admit to strangling Shanann. And, you know, this, again, is very gruesome. He wrapped her body up, and he got up at 5 in the morning, but she never gets up that early, and backs his truck in. And he wrapped her body up in a blanket and put it in the back seat of his truck on the floor. And then he loaded the still living girls up and drove an hour.
The gym, his truck had the lights on, which is unusual for that morning, you know, 5:15 in the morning. Only fools like me are up.
So you don't usually see him leave at that time of day? Oh, was that the gray truck, or what truck was that?
That was his regular truck. It's a pretty big truck.
He knew damn well what he was going to do with those poor little babies.
And he drove him out to the oil rig where he was going to be working that day.
Yeah. So, I mean, he smothers them. He shoves the pillow over their, or the blanket over their head and smothers them. Cece first, which was the younger one. And then Bella said, no, Daddy, don't do to me what you did to Cece. Because she was older. She kind of had a little bit of comprehension. She saw that her mom wasn't moving on the ground. And they said, is Mommy okay? And, you know, he just kind of went along with it. And he drove an hour knowing what he was going to do to these little girls.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's 2 oil rigs on this site. And he smothers them and climbs up the stairs and opens this 8-inch hatch. And these little girls are small, but they're not going to fit through an 8-inch hatch. So he like shoves them in there he doesn't put them together. He puts them in separate tanks. Disgusting. And he buries Shanann on the same property in a shallow grave.
Along with his
15-week-old baby. And I don't know how they knew it was a boy, because normally you have to wait for the gender scan at 20 weeks, but I think they assumed it was a boy, and they were naming him Nico. And there was some gruesome stuff on the autopsy that she had actually delivered. I think it was the stress on her body. She had delivered baby Nico while she was in the grave.
This whole part of it, I mean,
it makes me sick.
Searching and hoping for the best possible outcome. Yesterday, Chris Watts, the father and husband of those missing, was arrested on suspicion of murder. And shortly after, a body believed to be that of Shanann Watts was located nearby.
Thinking about being a father and having a little girl.
And yes, I understand they frustrate you sometimes. He saw this new life, and this Nicole Kessinger, she didn't want his kids. She wanted her new kids, her kids. And I don't know if that was maybe part of the reason why he did this.
Maybe a twisted reason that doesn't really make sense. Like in no way, shape, or form would you think, okay, well, maybe I should just do this a little better, but I have to kill my family out first. But
choke out your wife and kill your wife, and then these poor little kids did not have to die.
Like, why the kids? Like, I mean, people kill people all the time, right? Adults do that.
That's why we have a channel.
But kids are so innocent, and it just it kills me.
Yeah, it
and
hurts my heart.
To think about like my little girl, like there is nothing that makes me happier than her. Like, I don't care if she's bothering me. I would do anything in the world for her. I love her unconditionally.
Right.
And to be the thing in this world that destroys...
That brought her into this world and also takes her out of this world.
How could you destroy your own child?
Yeah, it's disgusting. So he pled guilty, thankfully, to all, these counts. And the judge had said, he had been serving I think for 20 plus years. And he said this was one of the most gross, inhumane, disgusting cases that he's ever covered. And at the hearing, the sentencing hearing, Chris is sitting there smug like this.
He didn't have any reaction.
I did not see a tear
There's nothing from
go
him.
Down his face.
That bothered the hell out of me.
Yeah. His family got up. Her family got up, obviously super emotional because they just lost their daughter and their 2 grandkids. The parents got up of him, and, they said, maybe someday he'll tell us, but we want you to know, Christopher, that we love you and we forgive you.
That's bullshit.
You can say that later on in his cell and say, baby,
you can
we
say
still
that to
love
him,
you.
but
like,
to make a public address about that and say, we forgive you?
I don't think that was right. And God says, forgive, repent, and you shall be forgiven. But I don't think that's an appropriate place to be saying that. I don't know. That was just my opinion.
This might be hard for some to understand how I can sit here under these circumstances and tell you, although we are heartbroken, although we can't imagine what could have led us to this day, but we love you. Maybe you can't believe it either. As the Lord said in Jeremiah 3:31, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have continued my faithfulness to you. And you, as your mother, Chris, I have always loved you, and I still do. I hate what has happened. Your father and sister and I are struggling to understand why. But we will remain faithful as your family, just as God remains faithful because of his unconditional love for us all. We love you, and we forgive you, son.
So Chris Watts' sentencing on his hearing, he ended up getting 5 counts of life in prison
without parole.
In the first, so
plus 84 years.
Plus 84 years. So he got charged in 5 different attempts of first-degree murder, right? And then 1 being for the unlawful abortion of a child because obviously she was carried.
And he got decimation of the body after death, like doing
moving
weird
a
stuff
moving
to
a dead
a
body,
corpse.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he got all these different little charges racked up, which is what the 84 years are for. But needless to say, he is never getting out. And I hope to God he's in solitary confinement for the rest of his life.
He's in solitary 23 hours a day, and he gets out for 1 hour. And he said in an interview, every day I see Bella saying, no, daddy. And you know what? You damn well should, because what you did to those children is freaking terrible. And one thing that disgusts me, I'm for the death penalty. I know everyone has their own opinion, but I say if you kill people, you should be killed.
There's no reason we should pay taxes to keep him alive.
Well, we would pay a lot of taxes to kill him.
I'd rather pay taxes to kill him.
Okay, so would I. But the family decided that they wanted to take, the DA wanted to say, kill this mother effer. But the families said to the judge, please don't do this. We shouldn't be responsible for taking a life, even though he took lives.
And then his parents were like, thank you very much for not killing him. Da, da.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to think, maybe this guy will live a very long time. And he'll have a long time to sit there, rot, and try to live with himself. Yeah. That might be a torture in itself.
Yeah, I think that definitely would be.
But a lot of people say they don't think he cares. They don't think he has any emotion towards it. They think he's dead to it.
You know what? But in his defense, he did come clean with what he did. He admitted to it. I mean, he's even given in jailhouse reports really saying what he did. So I really do say good for you on that, because there's so many serial killers and murderers still out there today who are not willing to come up and be honest and give the family closure, because that's what it's about. Like, you took the life of my daughter. Tell me what happened, why you did it, what's going on. So that brings us into Nicole Kissinger.
And I have something else about getting into Nicole as well that I'm interested in. And again, this just might be because he was trying to cover it up, but I find it also really, really gross and disgusting to me, just as a human. So there's multiple times when he's doing his original interview, when he's being questioned by the cops, where he said repeatedly, I did not kill my babies. From that being said, from a parent's point of view, that'd be a very emotional thing, I would expect, which leads into a theory that he was covering up. So one of the first things, and again, this is just a theory, but there's a lot of speculation that Nicole Kissinger had more involvement than what she led to believe. So on her first interview, she seemed super shocked, like she came forward, okay? And so there's a couple things right away that, from watching crime investigation stuff with Ashley and different things like that, a lot of times people do not directly deny a claim. they dance around and say, I couldn't have done it because of this, or I wouldn't have done something like this. He did directly say, I did not kill my babies.
He also said, I did not cheat on my wife.
I understand. I'm just bringing up a point. So a lot of times they dance around the question. Now, the other thing is a lot of times people that are also involved interject themselves into a case. Nicole Kissinger, for example, did interject and offer up her side of it.
But I think she was just trying to help police because she found out all this new stuff.
Yes, that could also be the case. But when she was being questioned, she seemed super surprised, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he would do this, da-da-da-da-da. But she deleted a whole bunch of text messages and pictures off of her phone between her and Chris, and that they shared, and that they some of their trips and different things.
And she said the reason why she did that, and this may be a bullcrap reason, is that after she found out he was lying, she didn't want anything to do with him. So she was erasing all that crap, essentially erasing Chris from her life.
Or erasing evidence and stuff that puts her with the crime. So a lot of people think that she may have been part or helped with doing these killings, or at least help orchestrating it, setting everything up.
There was one that I watched without you that actually like showed the close-up of the neighbor's Ring doorbell or some of their surveillance
because they had them on surveillance when he was loading the trucks up with their bodies.
Right. So they said, look at the shadow on the ground, like, because you could see it was in the dark, the light came on, and there was like a shadow underneath the truck. And it looked like there was more than one person carrying things, and the light in the truck kept going on and off and on and off. And lights in trucks don't go off and on unless somebody's turning them off and on. And this is while he's loading, or if someone keeps opening the door and shutting the door, opening the door and shutting the door. So there were theories that Harrison thinks that she was part of it.
I think she has more involvement. I do. I don't know if it's to that full extent, but I think she's more involved. I think she should be looked at heavier because she was completely dismissed from everything, but she was a direct tie into Chris's life.
I think emotionally, yes. She may have put a strain on him to create a new family, and she may have said, basically, I don't want your kids, in so many words.
You may think of a way to start fresh, and it was...
Yeah, and unfortunately, he massacred his whole family, which is absolutely disgusting. So thanks, guys. That's going to do it for this case.
Thank you.
Again, if you have any suggestions or thoughts on what we just presented, just let us know. Drop it down below, and we'll reply as soon as we see it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Careful, Cece. There's a table there.
Daddy.
She is a hot mess. You have to take a leap of faith in yourself. No matter what it is in life, like, take that leap of faith and know that you can do whatever you want to do. I was in a really, really, really bad place, and I got a friend request from Chris on Facebook, and I was like, oh, what the heck, I'm never gonna meet him. Except, one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have 2 kids, we live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And because of my health challenges, because I got so sick, I let him in, and he only knew me at that time. He knew me at my worst, and he accepted me. And through your vows, like through sickness and everything, he's been there. He was the one that let me lay on him and fall asleep for 3.5 hours on his lap while he had to pee. He is the best thing that has ever happened to me. So with that being said, know that no matter what, I can go on forever with this story, but I want to cut it short so I don't bore you guys. Know that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how low you feel, know that deep down, in your heart, that there's a purpose, there's a reason for everything. We may not understand it at the time.
We did it again. I like that shirt.
Really?